For those of you watching on YouTube, this is a employee training that we're having. We do these often every day, but pretty regularly, let's just say that. And I'm going to go through some of the questions one by one and try and address them. So this is in relation to general personal, professional, career development. So we'll go with Manuel first. He says, would you worry about sounding inauthentic if you spend too much time practicing how you speak? How do you make sure your communication is balanced? It's just practice, Manuel. That's it. Practice of the thing or the activity that you're trying to improve will often lead to the most significant level of improvement in the quickest way possible. It's the difference between a theory test and driving. You will learn driving by driving. That's it. The theory test will take you so far, but that's really what you need to do. In terms of making the communication balanced, I think that will come through experience also. Don't get me wrong, there's obviously things that you could read about it. Your worry about sounding inauthentic is just a case of practicing behind closed doors. So practice with people that you trust, because then there's no problem. And then bring it out into the open. So we watch one of those motivational videos. I don't know if you watched it, but I can quickly share the first 20 seconds, 30 seconds with you now about give me a second. Let me just see if I can find it. Oh, I forget. I've got. You know what? I can just play it on my mobile, to be honest with you. Give me a second. So this should answer that question. Yeah, here we go. So I found it. Some of you have perhaps seen this before, but some of you haven't. So
sometimes you got to take a break from just about everything, disappear, come back, and shock the world. I'm talking to that athlete. I'm talking to that administrator. I'm talking to that nurse, that doctor. I'm talking to that student. I'm talking to that communicator. I'm talking to that pioneer, that inventor. I'm talking to that entrepreneur. I'm talking to that preacher. I'm talking to that person who refuses to stay where they are. I'm talking to that person that doesn't have a problem laying in obscurity, because you know that when you come out of the dark room, all eyes on you.
That
we live in a culture of busy.
Sorry, let me get rid of this crap that I've got. But that for me hopefully sums up how you approach it, if that makes sense, Manuel.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You just do the practice behind closed doors. I'll get more confident, but obviously to keep the practice up.
Yeah. Most people, and I include myself in that, we don't practice. We theorize, but we don't practice, and you just got to practice. So then that's first question. Second question: are there rules, steps to critical thinking? Like every process, there are steps. There's famous steps. So I think Aristotle developed something called the elenchus, which you can look at. A lot of the great Greek thinkers are considered to be the originators of critical thinking in the modern day. So you look at Plato and Aristotle for critical thinking, and you can see that I think the elenchus, Elenchus, you can Google it, was a structure of reasoning by questions that Aristotle, I think it was Aristotle, would use to show or to demonstrate that someone's perspective was just logically incorrect by using their own arguments against them. And it's quite an advanced way of critical thinking, to be honest with you, but you could look to the originals. I don't know if they're the true originals, of course, Ali, but certainly in school, when we were taught about critical thinking, it was something that so the subject that led me to the deepest level of critical thinking was learning about philosophy. So philosophy is where, well, what is the meaning of life? What is the being? What is spiritualism? And then you learn about like nihilism and fatalism and Descartes, I think, therefore I am, and all of this kind of stuff. And they're deep questions. And that was probably the subject where I excelled, but that was a subject where you have to place the deepest level of critical thinking, because it's all based upon abstract thought. It's just thought. So I would say look at that if that makes sense, Ali.
So for me, still, let's suppose, uh, it's very vast, but are there any like 3 steps? I would say, first of all, question the question, something in that context, 3 to 4 steps that I need to really keep in my mind. I need to really practice this every
Yeah,
time.
sure. So no, not right now because you need to build your foundational knowledge. So the reservoir that you're drawing from is quite limited. I did say in a previous meeting, but I've now literally right now corrected that in terms of books that people can read. I said thinking fast and slow, but it's not all, but a lot of it is derivative from Aristotle and Plato, and then philosophy. So I would look up if it's look. So this is a broader thing. People need to establish, and again, over what timeline are you looking to see improvements? People that win are the people that are often willing to wait the longest. So if you are committed to a lifetime of self-development, Ali, then you'll say, well, yeah, okay, I'll just begin by reading a book about Aristotle or Plato and, their method of teaching because I am prepared to wait for the huge return in 4 years from now or whatever it might be. So a lot of these things depend upon the timeline over which people are willing to get the reward. That's also one of the things why I say that I want to do £1 billion in revenue by the time I hit 50. But if I have to wait until I'm 65, I'll wait because I'm in this for my lifetime, if that makes sense. Like I've understood that Pearl Lemon will be the thing that I want to use to create generational wealth. So in 3 generations from now, I want Pearl Lemon to be a company that people talk about, like fucking, companies that have been around for hundreds of years. So so for me, one of the things that changed in the last 2 years was that I can do this every fucking day and I'm patient because the timeline over which I'm measuring really is 65. I'm 37 now. I'm 38. So I'm like, I'm going to be doing this. If it takes me 20 years, it'll take me 20 years. Obviously, I'm aiming for 12 because I appreciate, but the reason I'm saying all of these things is it's true. There are some things that people can do to shortcut success, but to learn to become great at anything takes time. And for many people, it takes more time than they're prepared to give to it, which is why I think it's important that people should extend their lifelines or their timelines under which that they're prepared to wait for or to achieve success. And yeah, that's it, to be honest with you. So I don't have a step-by-step path with the critical thinking, but I'm giving you what I'd call my own breadcrumbs. And then it's up for you to follow the breadcrumb trail and build your own fucking path, if that makes sense. Because with this particularly, I don't have a step-by-step process for you. I can just speak to some of the things that I remember from my youth that have helped me and then go from there.
I just have a curious mind right now, like with hundreds of questions. Let's skip that.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. The curious mind is where it starts, I think. And you've demonstrated that for a long time, a questioning mind, questioning. And that's also a big reason, I think, why your development in the last 3 months has been so rapid, if you think about it, in terms of your growth within the company, as compared to the last 4 years or whatever it is you're saying you've fucking been here. Because the talent has been there always, but a part of it has remained dormant. But now something switched and you're like, oh, okay, I fucking get it. So I think the questioning mind is great. This is why for the SEO team that are here, no one's here. Dinesh is hold on, let me just flip screen. Maybe I'm not seeing. No, Dinesh is here. Saurav is Gulam, Farman, Saurav. When all of you guys come on, it's why, and Rabil, anyone, it's why it's so important to have a questioning mind because value is depending upon the way that you kind of question things and look at data and interpret it. So it's a journey. The truth is, I don't expect it to happen for overnight because if you're starting, but it's a worthy journey and it's a beautiful one. So yeah. So Malcolm, what is our sales process? Do we receive our leads organically? What is the process until the team services the client? So yes, it's all organic, 100% organic. People find us via Google. in different forms, not just directly via our website. We're on listicles and we're in other spaces. I'm, of course, trying to build up our YouTube audience right now. It's really nice to see that we're beginning to get organic comments and people are consistently saying great video and then some variation. Obviously, none of my videos speak about SEO, so I don't expect anyone for SEO to come and hire us for SEO. But that's something that I probably will address later when I start doing some SEO training. We are trying to, vis-a-vis Evan, Aaron, Riaz, to generate a inbound pipeline from cold calling. We started that, or we're starting that today. So I hope in 2 months from now I can give you a different answer, but an expanded answer. But right now it's 100% organic, which isn't a problem, by the way. I'm a great believer that we double down on the thing that already works. So for those of you in the SEO team, that's why we're doing EMDs, exact match domains, and we're doing that cold emails agency website and cold calling agency website. We're trying to build some domination around that. We definitely don't get the amount of SEO leads that I want. Interestingly, I see that most of the SEO agencies that I am looking at online that do well don't get many of their leads through organic. So the best performing SEO agencies don't use SEO as a mechanism to generate their inquiries, which is quite interesting. So that's been something that I see, that this is what Ali Abeda said, reminded me of. LinkedIn is huge for companies that get big commercial contracts within SEO. But organic LinkedIn's, posting good content and then reaching out to marketing directors and managers. There's so there's work that we have to do, but yeah, that's the process.
Yeah, on that, I have a
Yeah.
question. Remember, you
Yeah.
have created a course for, was it for SEMrush?
Yeah.
So did it bring some
No.
clients? No.
Well, people find us through a variety of ways. So when I say it's all from organic, let me be more broad. People do find us from YouTube. We get bubble tea inquiries from YouTube. People say they found us via a case study on YouTube. People say they found us via us appearing on a list. People say they find us via ChatGPT by looking and we were recommended. So let me broaden the scope. When I say organic, there's a multitude of ways within which they find us. So perhaps they do, to be honest with you, Ali. Maybe people have come from SEMrush originally, but certainly Malcolm, I'll be honest with you, buddy. I'm probably 18 months away from addressing that. We don't get enough SEO inquiries that come in. Our historical best way to generate SEO clients was me being on Upwork. Which interestingly, I went back on this morning to review my profile and I sent some instructions to Lydia. But yeah, that isn't a problem that I have solved at the moment. But anyway, I could talk about that for quite a while. but that's kind of where we're at. I won't go into it in more depth. It's been worked upon. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, go ahead, Malcolm.
Yeah, so perfect. Thank you for answering that. So now that we know where these other SEO agencies get their leads from.
One second. Guys, notice active listening, the way that I answered multiple questions there. He just asked, how do we receive our leads? But then I also spoke about the other possible ways that we can receive leads. And then I spoke about some of the actions we're doing to generate it. And then I spoke about my feeling on the way that we generate leads. So do you see how comprehensively I answered that question? So think of it like, for those of you who are in SEO, think about it about, related keywords. There's the question, and there's clearly all of the related questions that relate to that question. So when we produce content, it's sensible to answer all of those questions. So be the same when you answer any question. Think about what would be the logical follow-up questions. What else would this person want to know? Let me fucking answer everything in one go as best as I can. So just try and think about that when you answer questions, which is why I always seek comprehensive answers. Think about what would be the logical follow-up questions. What else would this person ask? So you can build a methodology around that potentially. So yeah, sorry, Malcolm, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. No, I was about to ask 2 questions. So now that we know where our leads are, what other agencies use to get leads, you mentioned that it's in process. but can we also double down to do so? And let's say there's a person that's now interested. I went on a sales call with Eon.
Sure.
What is the process then after that?
Sure,
When is
sure.
the proposal sent?
Sure,
And
sure.
what, yeah,
So
until we get the
yeah,
client.
I
Sorry.
get it. I get it. So no, it's okay. I think I understand the question. So bucket number one, Deepak, can we double down on that? No, I'm being honest right now. The truth is, because Ali Abeid actually said to me, Deepak, we should do the LinkedIn thing. We should do the LinkedIn thing. And I also said to him, no, because it rests upon me literally doing it myself to do the LinkedIn thing, because it tends to be individuals within companies that grow their brand and organic stuff on LinkedIn, and then they receive leads that come in. So I'm the bottleneck, and my focus currently is growing my YouTube personal brand, as well as obviously helping the team with training. So if you or anyone can resolve that problem, saying, Deepak, I will figure out this LinkedIn thing, Evan, I'm looking at you, mate, because we discussed this, but you basically need to replicate what SEO influencers are doing. And I can point towards several. I'll give you one right now who generates 500,000 a year through LinkedIn, and he doesn't do anything else but LinkedIn. You can reverse engineer what he's doing. It's very clear what he's doing, by the way. I've just not done it. Ryan Durrani, and I'm sure that Ali Abeid could give you several examples of SEO influencers in the space, but Ryan Durrani, just because he paid us £2,000 for consulting, and I know his actual numbers because he shared them with me. He did about £450,000 from SEO consulting, where he charges anything from £5,000 to £10,000 a month to give SEO consulting services. He does zero implementation, and someone's got background noise, by the way. The way that he does that is through his SEO, his LinkedIn profile. The reason I'm not doing that right now is because and I'll answer Evan's point, I don't see that as the route to the $1 billion, the £1 billion that I want, if I'm being honest. So I see in the hierarchy of things, the reason I'm not doing it is I see Deepak building a personal brand is a quicker way to help support every business that we have. Because if I grow huge influence, that will change the nature of everything. So that's what I'm trying to focus upon at the moment. But if someone else can solve that problem for me, see what I'm doing, guys? I'm answering several follow-up questions at the same time, because these are the questions that I would have. Well, Deepak, we should still do it. Great. People want to triple their salaries. Solve this fucking problem. And I know what the answer is because I'm giving you the breadcrumbs, if that makes sense. But I do need someone else who will develop it, because then you can change the way that you fundamentally add value to the company. So Malcolm, if you want to be that guy, you can be that guy. I'm happy to. But that's kind of where I'm at with it, to answer your question number one, which is, can we double down on it? I'm doubling down on our growth, but my personal focus is the growing of my brand. You can talk to Ali Abeid because he's responsible for the growth of getting us to 100 leads a day. So anyone is welcome to go to Ali Abeid to say, what are all of the strategies from an SEO perspective the SEO team are employing to get us to 100 inquiries a day? We've had a bad summer. Summer's always bad, but we don't have many leads. But you can ask Ali Abeid what we're doing on the SEO side. And then on the outbound sales side, Evan is kind of beginning to nominate himself as someone who wants to take charge of that. So this is his opportunity, not within the context of this call, but you can ask Evan, what are we doing to massively increase our pipeline? And you can anyone can go to Evan and say, what's the plan, bro? And I'm sure based upon his reading and what his ideas are, not if I've got this kind of right, Evan, that he's got a plan in his own mind. So they're the people that you can go to, anyone, if you're curious about the growth and what we're doing to drive new inquiries to the company. Any follow-up questions on the lead front before I move to what happens practically after? Okay. Okay, fine. So after you have a sales call or you go to a sales call, then Eon negotiates basically. People go backwards and forward and they say, cool, can you send me an example of a contract? The contract will be, you'll pay us 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 pounds a month for SEO services. This is the nature of the package. This is how, so there's a contract. And then sometimes there's not a contract because people just say, send me the, well, there's always a contract. Let me not say, but sometimes there's a written document with a signature and then people need that. Sometimes it happens in one day, but we're at a stage now where people perceive us to be a bit more like a corporate company. So we deal with companies that have contracts, that have payment terms, that have scheduling, that have billing, all of these fucking processes, almost all of our clients, because small companies don't tend, and that's one of the inherent challenges of why, to a degree, you need to have such a volume of SEO inquiries come in to generate results, because we look like a commercial company, a corporate company. The challenge of SEO is that anyone can start a website with $2, which means that the vast majority of people that want SEO services can't afford us unless you're an enterprise company. So that's one of the reasons why it's a bit more difficult through Google. Companies do it, and again, you go to Ali Abeid and say, how can you, or how can I help you get more SEO leads? And he'll tell you what the team are working upon and stuff. Ali Abeid, nod if it's okay what I'm saying, that people can go to you to ask. Yeah, fine. But yeah, it's contracts, it's payment terms, and then the money comes into the bank. There's a payments group that, for example, Temi's part of, and then once Temi sees proof of payment, she'll typically talk to the relevant sales rep, Eon, Vishnu, Johnny, hopefully soon Chika and Ali, and I don't remember who else is in there. But yeah, then the group will be kicked off and off we go. I do want us to have more SEO leads. I think web development is the fastest way via SEO to generate more SEO clients. Ali and both Alis are aware of that. So I'd say, being honest, through Google, Pearl Lemon Web is a better route to generate SEO actual inquiries, because DAR Global are here for web development and that's how we're keeping them. But that's how we do their SEO. And same thing with Nerds. We do their website so they stay with us. And the brute reality is that Martin at Focus 360 will be with Focus 360 far longer than we will, because he'll keep his web developer. But if we're the web developers, then we can win the SEO work. So that's how I see through Google now the route to success, if I'm being honest. So that's kind of my thinking. Cool, great. I'll go to the next questions. Guys, if it's 10:46 from 11 a.m. onwards, if people need to go, then obviously head off. I'm gonna try and, but I will, for those who are staying, push through the questions. Temi asks, I know we should build up a team around us, but do you have a structure that you follow, like talking to them 3 times for growth for everyone looks different? I'm wondering how much time you'd give someone to improve. I know how much time you'd give someone to improve. That's a really difficult question. I know that Ali Abeid is asking that same question. We're asking that same question with some of the challenges we're seeing with the SEO team. Client side.
I had the same question when you said take your time. I said, like, Deepak won't wait for me to take my time.
There's different. So look, there's different timelines, right? And sometimes, so a simple example, okay? In the consulting world, Accenture, Deloitte, Bain, McKinsey and Company, Goldman Sachs, they train people with the hope that they can capture the value that the result of the training gives if people stay and continue with the company, right? This is what they do in the fucking special forces, right? They train people to be highly weaponized, and then the hope is that person goes on to become a massive operator. But what sometimes might happen is that guy, like, what's his name? There's several examples, might say, you know what, I don't want to do special forces. I want to go and be a fucking celebrity. I forget the name of the guy who's did the special forces training and has become a massive, Bear Grylls in the UK, became a massive TV celebrity, right? David Goggins, a different example. He never saw any success as really a special forces operator, but he's achieved far more success as a motivational speaker, ultra runner type. So the reason I say these things is David Goggins' timeline for success was different from the organization that he was operating within. And sometimes these two don't match up and marry up. But what organizations do is hope that they can capture the value at the end of the training and development period, right? So we're training, so that's what Pearl Lemon does. The reality is that we're not a company. It's very evident. We don't have a bunch of UK employees that we start on 30, 40, 50,000 pounds a month, right? I look at also probably because I'm biased, I'm an ethnic minority where my family have come from. I've always had a passion for helping people and developing economy. Same reason why we want to adopt an Indian kid next year and all of this stuff, right? But I have people come in the hope that by the time they develop, Pearl Lemon will be able to capture the value. And sometimes the pressure of the role means I don't have time to wait for that person to develop because the opportunity, and that's what you're asking about. It's like, well, how much time do I give people? There's no set rule to that. There's no hard and fast answer. I do think it's very much case by case. The thing that you need to look for, I think, is if a person has a huge intent to develop and you can see that they're working on it, I do give people more room. But I might rearrange their position to give them more time where there's less exposure. So a practical example of that within SEO, if you have some priority websites, I wouldn't maybe give it to someone who still needs to develop. So just being honest, Dinesh might be really right mindset, but he might not be at a stage where there's certain levels of SEO that he's perhaps ready to do, as an example, right? So then Ali Abeid, I'd say, look, Ali, Dinesh has the right mindset, as an example, right? This is just hypothetical, but he's probably not ready yet to go and manage Pearl Lemon main. It's also one of the reasons, Ali Abeid, that I specifically asked you to work on Pearl Lemon and Pearl Lemon main, Pearl Lemon and Pearl Lemon leads, because it's about where people's ability is, right? So I won't give that. And just for reference, do not give that to anyone that you don't trust at the moment, because we can't fuck up those two sites. So that's one of the approaches. And it's always a judgment call, depending upon where people's ability is and how much you think they'll develop, but also what you think their commitment to the company is, or the commitment to the team is. If you think you think this person's working hard, this person's committed, if they're not at the right level, but I don't really know if they're going to be here in 2 months, it's the vibe that I have, then I might not give them the time. I'll say, look, you know what? I just don't feel like you're going to be around for us to see the benefit of the improvement path that you're on, because I don't sense you're going to be committed. So these are the judgment calls that we make every day. And I have to manage as a leader. Evan's ambitious. Evan's reading fucking 100 million. You know, everyone's got different ambitions, and everyone's, of course, got your personal trajectory as well as your professional one. My goal is to try and marry them together here at Pearl Lemon. But yeah, it's definitely challenging. It is a judgment call. You have to measure all of the different risks, because if it's a client, if it's someone who's working on a client campaign and that client is massively important to the company, there is a big difference between a client who's paying you obviously £10,000. It's the same principle. £10,000, £1,500. Can I put this person on the £10,000 project? Fuck it. That's why, to a degree, I was prepared to say, today I'm going to just do the DAR stuff myself, because I was worried. But obviously the team came through. Well done, team. Great. So there's no hard and fast rule, but these are some of the things that I think about when it comes to the time that I allow people. But I will say the 3 times before taking further action can be done over 2 weeks, because it's just about people putting the effort in. I'm much more lenient with people that I see that are trying than with people who say they'll do it, but then they don't do it. I've got very little patience for that. And that typically tends to indicate Pearl Lemon have done a bad job of recruiting a person with the right mindset. So that, I would say, it tends to be a bit more my fault. Cool. Let's keep going. So Saurabh, you asked about leadership styles and their implications. Do you want to just explain what you mean with this?
Yeah, I probably could have phrased it differently. It's more about the team leaders, but also as the team members for themselves. And it also relates to the previous question. If in how we communicate with each other, it is about the overall communication, how we communicate with each other, how do we take judgment, how do we say judge someone's performance. Now, coming to Themi's previous, I'm thinking how to put it all together. To Themi's question, I would say, if I was in her shoes, it would not be easy for me to take a call on someone's performance based on the kind of interaction she would have with a person being from any team.
Okay.
It could be a person from any team. This setup is very challenging. With the way I'm looking at it, if I'm in her space, Temi, this is just an example that I'm discussing. So you have limited your scope, your vision is limited when it comes to an individual's operational area, their skill set, and such details. I feel the best person to take a call on that, and if someone from HR or outside a team has to take call on a person or interns, full-time employee, part-time employee, new, old, whoever it is, a call should always be taken in conjunction with the team lead.
Sure.
It is only Ali Ubaid who can take a proper call on a justified call or a most justified call on a person's performance in his team. If I'm sitting with Ali Ubaid and his team in two different WhatsApp groups, those could be two client groups. I'm per se. I have very limited vision of what's going on behind the curtains. But he has the complete, he sees everything happening. He knows how things are being delegated. He knows how proper a person is responsive or not. He knows the quality of work being done. At times, we might be taking, we might arrive at a conclusion which might be challenged by our line of sight. That's
Yeah.
my take on it. When
Yeah.
it comes to, if you ask me, you're going to look at all the delivery teams and you're going to take a call on how good or bad a person is. There is no fucking way I can do that. I
Yeah.
can do that only for my team. I don't know how good or bad Riaz is versus Evan or versus Shania. And I can't take an unjust call on anyone's work based on my impression of what Riaz does or
So-
Evan does or Shania.
So with this in mind, Saurabh, what's the question that you have then, or is there no question? Just to understand. Thank you for that, by the way. I think that you're quite right that we need to engage the insights from the relevant people to get a
Yeah.
wider view, obviously, of a person's performance. So no decision should
Yeah.
be made in isolation. That you need to ask a couple of people and get a general consensus or theme to then say, well, three people are all saying the same fucking thing. Everyone can't be
Yes.
wrong. Yeah, yeah. But what's your question?
Yeah.
What's your question?
My question is how I've seen different kinds of leadership styles.
Sure.
I'm not very well read on it,
Sure.
but how to name those leadership styles. But one is with a stick,
Yeah.
one is without a stick,
Yeah.
one is leading a team from front, one is leading a team from behind.
Sure. Sure.
One leadership style is it could be pulling down people all the time in the team.
Yeah.
Right? I am what I am.
Yeah.
Don't you understand what's being told to you? Can't you follow the instructions? One is with being more subtle in the
Yeah.
approach,
Yeah.
but then making sure that the team, what is the ultimate goal? The leader's goal is that the team has to be productive as a unit.
What's your question? What's your question?
What is the most effective way of leading a team? That is my question. How would you do it as a team leader? As a leader here at Pearl Lemon, what would you recommend? Because I see different ways of approaching a team and
Sure.
and
Sure.
beyond at the company level.
Yeah. 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 Look, it's a cliche, but it is true that no one size fits all because, as you said, different people have different leadership styles. So there's a huge amount of personal bias that comes into it. If I was a developer leading this company, I might not be one for big speeches, and it might be the case that, well, Deepak codes for 6 hours a day and he produces, so I think it is a matter of individual disposition. There is statistical data to a decent degree that demonstrates that introverts actually tend to do better as leaders. I'm not an introvert, which is of course to a degree like frustrating, but I read that in I think the books by Jim Collins, From Good to Great and Built to Last, but it talks about the nature of leadership styles. But of course, equally, it says that there's also, of course, leaders who are, let's say, charismatic and great communicators. And I probably fall closer into that bucket between the two. Not that I'm a great leader by any means, but I've been on a learning journey, as you know, Saurabh. So I don't think there's a direct style, because I have historically been like more harsh and being really, let's say, demanding with the team and negative. If I look back in time, Ali Abay, this is useful for you. It didn't actually get me the result that I wanted some of the time. But I would say that elastic leadership for me is important. I think that's what I've come to learn. So I think that with the stage, based upon my experience now, that I find it more useful to have the capacity to have elements of both. So that's when I say, look, there's a time to motivate and train, which is what I try and do with these long calls in the morning. But then there's also moments where you need to tell someone, you need to sort your fucking shit out, bro, because we keep having this discussion and things aren't changing. What do we need to do? But then there's another element to it, which is, and that's what something I've tried to change recently, is maybe I did not the best job of hiring, because if you hire effectively, of course, you get people that come to the table that are already self-motivated, that already want to learn, that already have the desire to succeed, that already aren't afraid of hard work. So I think that part of it rests upon the team that you have, which in your position, let's say, you aren't in direct control of, because the team you have is the team that you have. So then it's that case of, and the elastic leadership part comes into play, is because, as we discussed before, when we spoke about people's contribution at the beginning of calls, some people just need to be told once what to do. And some people just you need to give them a breadcrumb and they'll do everything. Some people you need to slap round the head because they just don't seem to. So that's why I say that there's no one size fits all, but that's why also you need to expand your ability to be able to lead, because not everyone's going to respond to the same stimulus. And one of the things that, you know, Eon used to say to me is that, Deepak, one of the things that you don't do enough, and it's why I changed a lot in the last 3 months, 6 months, let's say. I was doing a lot of this stuff privately. Let's say Temi, Sebastian's not here, but now I've begun to obviously try and train and develop people publicly. And Malcolm's probably been witness to a lot of the changes that I've made, because I think there was a lot more of me being shouty at people 6 months ago comparatively than there is today. I appreciate yesterday I was back shouting, but I think that I think the best way to approach it is that you must continuously improve your ability to be a teacher, motivator, leader, demonstrator, because that's just the best way to operate in safety. I need to work on the assumption that the team I have is a team I have. It's better for me to just think, how can I get the best from the team that I have? And that's where you continuously, it's like we talk about, probably like you do with your daughter. There's times where you congratulate her and say, well done. There's times where you say, Betty, like, with all due respect, what the hell are you doing? You know, bringing this ulu to our house, who you say you want to get into a relationship. You know what I mean? Like, there's different ways to approach it. So I think that versatility is the thing that, if you don't feel you developed, that's worthy of development, because that's where I'm at in my journey. Put it that way. Let's say that I used to subscribe to the Elon Musk and Steve Jobs approach, because I read their biographies, autobiographies, and they're known to be very, very difficult and unpleasant people to work for. But I've since changed my mind, because I think that the laissez-faire, the spirit of the time, has changed, meaning that the way that people are today, and I think they called it the Great Resignation during COVID, and how so many people just decided that, well, there's so much independence, I can do what I want, there's an abundance of opportunity, that the nature of how you lead, direct, and develop your team has also changed. So I then began to think that that leadership style was a bit outdated, and it rests. Jeff Bezos also, because I read all of their autobiographies, all their leadership and management books, and I was like, oh, okay, interesting. They're all fucking arseholes, basically, and they're all successful. So maybe that's the blueprint. And then obviously questioning mine was like, well, is that the blueprint, or is that just what worked for them and the time? So, and also, we're a totally remote team, so I can't force anyone to do anything. So it's I think it's difficult, but the thing in terms of what do I actually do, Deepak, is that you just read up and experiment more and see. And a lot of it for people that lead teams, you lead teams, Ali Abeid leads teams, Temi will lead a team. You have to, you will only benefit if you expand your leadership styles, because then you can figure out, like my 90% of my time now really is figuring out how to get the best from my people, because my success rests upon your motivation, Ali Abeid's motivation, everyone's motivation in this room. Because as soon as Ali Abeid says, "Oh, you know what? Fuck you, Deepak," as in, I just think you're being a bit of an art, everything else falls away. There won't be the commitment, and they talk about that concept of, I now put faith in all of the value. Now I put faith in all the value that I don't see. All the things that you, Ali, Temi, Malcolm, everyone chooses to do when I'm not there, because that's when you know whether people fucking care or not. And I think that to do that now, a lot of it more, so 80% motivation, 20% giving people a bit of a slap round the head. Kind of that's kind of my balance at the moment, if that makes sense. And that's what I'm trying to, that's what I would encourage people to do.
Yeah, makes absolute sense, and yeah, completely. And you know what? I think we have, in each person over here, we have a young leader. So this they need to think about it. I never think, I don't look at a team and look at it as one leader. I think everyone over here is a leader.
Yeah.
Everyone here is a leader, and everyone has to be responsible enough. Like you said, this is the team that we have, and this is the team that has to make it work. So whoever is going to be left behind is going to be left behind eventually. So people need to be motivated, and yeah, you explained it wonderfully well. Thanks for that.
No problem at all. Thank you for the question. So someone in the room asks, how do I go about communicating more when there's things on my mind? There's a couple of people that ask that, actually, because there's variations of that question, as in, you know, for example, at the bottom, Dinesh has asked, no, hold on. My view is talking relevant specific is more important than talking less or more. Yeah, look, okay, so for those of you who don't communicate much, it begins with communicating more, because then it's practice. I don't think there's any way of getting around it. And when you begin anything, the practice of something is typically fucking ugly, because it's not that good, because you're not well practiced. And there's a psychology of fear related to that. What if I say something wrong? You probably will. What if I say something stupid? You probably will. But you dust yourself off and you try again tomorrow, because there's no, you cannot become a more effective communicator by not communicating. Let me just say that. It's like, it's impossible. The logic does not add up. So you need to practice to then sharpen your spear, to then be able to clearly articulate what it was. You know, Evan is on his journey of trying, and sometimes I'll sense check him, but I say, what are you asking? I don't understand. But he's trying, and I see it, because, and then he says, okay, I need to articulate what I'm trying to communicate more effectively. So that comes from the place in Evan's example where he is fearless enough to be able to try. And that's what you need to overcome, that obstacle. I think, Dinesh, you were, you know, you're saying that focus on the important stuff.
Yeah, so actually the question was from me that it said that wise people should speak less, and it makes sense. Okay, they speak less, but obviously they don't ask questions too much. So would you recommend that, as Dinesh said, that I prefer talking about important stuff? That's all. So would you recommend curious mind that speaks a lot, which is me? I speak a lot.
Yeah.
People hate me for that for some reason in my local. They're like, fucking bro, you talk a lot.
This is where we go back to look at the lives that they're living and identify whether you think that what they're saying is of value. So continue, actually, Ali. I interrupted.
Yeah. So the wise people, I'm asking about the wise people versus the small talkers or curious minds. Obviously, both are correct. I'm not talking about those bullshitting guys. They just bullshit around stupid stuff. I'm talking about both important people there are wise people and there are those people who really are with curious minds
Yeah.
and with communication skills.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, I think there just needs to be a general development of one's mind, and that comes from active engagement. Because it, Dinesh, for example, you're saying I only talk about the stuff that's important, but the stuff that you perceive as important is only relative to what you know. So if you read 100 books, you'd have a lot more to say than if you read 2 books. And the perception you would have of life would be very different if you read 100 books. So I probably have outread everyone in this room. I've read over 300 books in the last couple of years, and I've made, my life changed, my perspective's changed, everything changed, because my pool of resources that I can draw from went whoop, and I was like, oh wow, it's like I'm fucking see the Matrix now, and I see things in a way that I didn't used to, because I literally read through a couple of 100 books, and then all of a sudden, guess what? I have a lot more to say, because I have a lot more thinking and thoughtfulness. So by the very nature of that question, it tells me that probably there's just a bit more reading to do, a bit more learning to do. That's it. And then I think you will find that you cannot help but have things to say, because you say, well, I've got a question. Yeah.
The curious mind is obviously, if we weren't curious, the planes wouldn't be there, the computers wouldn't be there. I would be sitting quiet in my corner, and that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. You'd be like, this is the way the things have always been done. I have a stick and I make fire, and that's it. You'd be like, bro, I've got this lighter here. Like, it's fucking, now going back to a different point, we have different pressures at Pearl Lemon. So within the SEO team, as we've discussed in the group, and Ali Abeid and I have been discussing, everyone's seen it. There's a pressure to drive more leads. And I think part of that is in relation to this curious mind part. So I have a video about the concept of working 16 hours a day. There's 2 work days every day. There's 8 hours a day to sleep, to eat, and to do all of that stuff. And your wife or your family. And then there's 8 hours and there's another 8 hours. So the way that you get ahead or accelerate is, and that's the whole thing about waking up early, putting all of the hours in. No one paid me to read the several hundred books I've read in the last couple of years. It's all on my Audible. If anyone wants the link, I'll give it to you. It's not all on my Audible, but a lot of it is. Right now, I go YouTube every day at the moment because that's where I'm at. But the point is that Dinesh and anyone just work really, really, really fucking hard. Also because, being frank, we're all like young. You've got the energy to be able to do it. There's a reason why investment bankers work fucking 18 hours a day through their 20s, because the trade-off is that by 30, I'll get, $1 million into my bank account and I can retire at 35, 40. This is many examples of this but that it's all about investment. It's all about investment for a bigger payoff. So I just say, like, really invest in it and just see what the result is. Okay, so let's just keep going. So yep. Approach to problems you face, you're not prepared. Dinette, so when anyone's faced with a problem that you're not prepared for, ask for help. I would. I would. Just that's it, really. Nothing more to say about that. You can't solve a problem. You can try and solve a problem that you're not prepared for. If you come up against stuff, Dinesh, that you find challenging within SEO, if you then go to Ali Yassin or Ali Abeid and say, you know what, I don't understand this and I'm struggling. If Ali Abeid told me that Dinesh comes and asks me for help every day and he's beginning to learn and develop, you won't be punished for that. I think you'll be rewarded, because as I told you, then you begin to understand people's investment and time and development. So that's it. That's all I'd say. Just ask for help. Just ask for help. Rabil, same answer, really. No, Rabil's not here anymore, is he? Okay, fine. So I'll skip that question. No problem. Effectively build relationships or approach people at PL. LV, and you strike me as someone who's a little bit shy. This is the impression I have of you, which isn't a problem. It's not. Don't get me wrong. And this is a group setting, and I appreciate that that's challenge for you. All I'd say is just focus on building one-on-one relationship slowly. Just reach out to anyone you feel comfortable talking to. Me, anyone, it doesn't matter. You know, whoever it is, John, it doesn't matter. Just begin with one-on-one relationships. But do build a couple of strong relationships at Pearl Lemon because for many obvious reasons, but just start there. Obviously, easier said than done. And not true. Just message 2 people now saying, I'd love to just have a call to understand more about what you do. And then just go from there. That's it. Arsalan says, I want to improve my writing process. No, Arsalan's not here. We'll skip that. No problem. Maria is not here. No problem. Evan asked, do you feel like the business model being used at the moment is scalable to a £1 billion level, $1 billion level? You had a follow-up point, didn't you? Or was that the point? Okay, no, I think that was the question. Okay. Yeah, we did work with Ryan Durrani, Evan. So we don't anymore. It was a one-off consult, basically. That was what it was, £2,000 to give him some insights on LinkedIn lead generation, which is ironic because he was doing 400K a year, 450, but you'd never done any outreach. All of it was inbound LinkedIn. It was great. So we need to reverse engineer what he does and then apply it within lead gen. But there's going to be sales examples of him, of course, that you can have a look at. But yeah, anyway, do I feel the business model being used at the moment is scalable to a £1 billion level? I don't think the SEO agency is going to be the agency that makes $1 billion because there's no evidence of SEO agencies that do it, to be honest with you. I think SEO is the vehicle to accelerate the other businesses that we have. Accountancy, there's lots of £1 billion companies. Legal, there are lots of £1 billion companies. So there's evidence in the space. With what you guys do, I think that can go to 20 to 50 million. Definitely, without a doubt. Probably it can go to even more than that. What we're trying to do is a difficult problem that we're trying to crack, you, Saurabh, and the lead gen team. And so I see the work that SEO and lead gen doing right now as stepping stones to get there. That's what I believe, if that makes sense, Evan.
Yeah, because I look at the numbers, and even 10K a month now is to me higher ticket. But even if we were to go even higher ticket to 50K a month, the numbers are still quite intimidating to reach that kind of revenue.
The number is intimidating at the moment, but I know that everyone's part of this mission. I know that if Ali Abeid can help me crack how to get 100 leads a day, then everything changes. And, you know, the next step for that is that I can one of my goals in, for example, 2026. I pray that everyone in this room still around is that I want that to be the year that I can pay everyone 3 times the amount, and it doesn't even matter because we're so profitable. I want to do that. Now to get there, one step is you building the US sales team group so that we actually get those 10, 15 appointments a week, every week, like clockwork. I'm like, Evan, I've got ideas, but you fucking figure it out. You're a smart fucking guy, and then you can run that team, and then everything changes in terms of what you can negotiate with me on. Does that make sense? Because the value is undeniable.
Yeah, I do agree. Definitely.
Yeah.
Starts with the system.
Yeah. Eon, just a simple example, guys. Eon started on 0 with us for 2 years, but by year 4, he earned 100,000 euros or pounds or something because he was bringing in so much money that he came back to the negotiating table and said, look at all of this money that I'm bringing to the business. I was like, cool, I need to give you a part of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
For 2 years.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
He became your partner. Yeah.
Yeah, he had no money for 2 years, and he said, I stuck around because I had this vision of where this was going, and I say, I'm here. I'm not going nowhere because I see the vision. And if you bring undeniable value, then whatever room you're in, you can negotiate. So yeah, I do believe that there's some things that are there. I think Ali Abeid and getting to 100 leads a day with that team is a big part of it. We have challenges, many fucking challenges. But I say to everyone, I'm fucking here. I'm going to be doing this until the fucking day that I die. So I'm patient. I'm patient. I got time. I got the rest of my fucking life. I want to create a generational business. I don't want Pearl Lemon to be a business that I sell in 2 years. I want it to be a business that long after I'm gone still exists. And people have meetings like this, or they do it in fucking virtual reality or whatever the fuck they do. But yeah, so that's kind of my feeling on it. I think then let
Yeah,
me
while you're thinking, just a question.
Hmm.
It's kind of don't it's a simple question, but you might be like, why are you trying to kill me, bro? So the question is, do you have a successor in your mind for Pearl Lemon?
right now, Temi is capable of leading the company. I tried to, she has a huge amount of development to do. I've told her that, she knows that, but she's showing the early signs of having that ability. I think that I have had different variations of it. I wanted to involve family. Gary, Jay. Gary, as everyone knows, is unfortunately too unreliable for me to truly get behind him because he appears, he disappears, he reappears. Um, I tried to hire in, that didn't work. But then looking at, there's a couple of examples, but General Electric are a good example of it. I've looked at well, based on my limited reading of how leaders are made, some of the best companies have kind of talent factories and they produce from within the leaders. And actually, when I think about it, I didn't really realize that so Deloitte, they're an accounting company. They're one of the top four in the world. They employ hundreds of thousands of people that don't. But what was interesting was in my department, and this was when I was 22, so 16 years ago, the highest earning person in my department, one of the highest earning people who was a part of the ownership, because Deloitte are an LLC, limited liability corporation, which means that you're legally structured to become an owner as part of the company. This is the way that a lot of the accountancies and consultants retain their top talent because they give people ownership stakes in the businesses. This is how consultancies tend to operate and structure. He was a guy that had no education, but he left school at 16, but he came up through Deloitte. He built everything I knew, and Deloitte and a lot of these companies produce their leaders from inside the company. So I think that what this change that I made in the last 3 months with this type of trade, last whenever, however long it's been, I think it will help me identify who the leaders could be. So yeah, Temi could lead with time the agency side, but being honest, you wouldn't lead the accounting and legal side. They're too early as businesses anyway, because I just need to figure out how they work, and there's different conversations I need to have with myself about what I'm doing there and whether it's a distraction and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I that's the way that I look at it. The way that I look at if things grow, there'll be CEOs of each of the businesses. But I mean, we're still so small, bro, and there's problems that we need to solve. And for the foreseeable future, the next 2 years, I see myself being heavily involved because I see that I'm not experienced enough to be able to give anything away yet. But yeah, that's kind of my thinking, if that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Cool. All right. I think that any final questions, guys? I don't know that there's
I
anything
have a
else.
question, but not like everyone doesn't have to stay for this question. This is just out of my own. Like I was going to ask this to be in any case. So I don't know if you want to end it and then people
No,
leave and I'll ask, or I can just...
so if anyone needs to go, they're welcome to go. But people, if there's just one question, ask it. I mean, yeah, everyone's been here now
Okay.
for an hour and a half. Another 10 minutes probably won't make much difference. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So basically I just want to know, how do we set expectations with a client, like on an onboarding call after the sales team has promised something that is not as familiar as something that we do? Like yesterday in that call that I had, that guy was kind of checking to see if what I was saying matched what Vishnu was saying, but the real, I'd say the basis of it lies within the delivery team, like regardless of what I say or what Vishnu says. So like they technically should set expectations, but how do you get in a call after they've been said something and you're like, I don't know if this is possible. Then they're like, so now why have I paid if you're unsure or if you're not confident that you'll deliver it? I hope that question
Yeah,
makes
it does.
sense
It
because I
does.
said
It does. It
confident.
does. It does.
Yeah.
Look. So the answer changes depending upon whether you're in a place of abundance or a place of scarcity. When you can
Mm,
replace a client, you can be more resolute and stern in your ability to deliver, and you can be prepared to walk away from a deal. So Grant Cardone talks about this a lot in Sell or Be Sold, where he says your ability to negotiate is very much dependent upon your pipeline. If you have 10 other clients to replace him, then fuck that person if he's asking for something unreasonable or if there's been a missell. This is what we do. This is how we do it. And we're popular enough to not give a shit. Obviously, you don't say it in those terms because that would be ridiculous. But that's the principle, right? If you're scarcity and this client is going to pay your fucking bills and that's it, then you bend because the nature of your livelihood depends upon it. Now, we as a company consistently sell. So that means that you can right now operate with a little bit more ruthlessness, but pragmatically, it's useful to suggest alternative solutions to the client. So you'd say, what's the client's first name?
James.
James, listen, so probably at some level there's been a level of miscommunication, but what I'm hearing is that you want X result because that's really what you're paying for. Yes. And most people will say yes. This is the outcome that I want. Just say the journey to Rome, all roads lead to Rome, guys. It's a old saying for those of you who are thinking, what the fuck has Rome got to do with anything? This is when Rome was part of the Roman Empire and they were the center of Europe. And they said that they went out and plundered and pillaged and that all roads would lead back to the empire, which was Rome. So that's where that quote comes from. The how is going to be different. That's all, James. This is how we're going to get you to your goal. Your goal is that you want 200 appointments or whatever it is, right? Which is obviously a very tall order. So we can either increase the volume. So, for example, increase the volume of email sends, which might be impractical. And if it is impractical, then we expand the timeline to get to the result. I used to think when I was 22, I'd build £1 billion company by the time I was 30. Experience taught me that I was not able to do it. It's not that it's impossible, but under my timeline, it was different. Evan's 17. He might be part of £1 billion company by the time he's 22 if he sticks around, because who knows how quickly it will come. But does that make sense? That you just need to have that conversation with him and say, look, we need to expand the timeline. And I'm saying to you that I am prepared to walk away from that deal and say, look, okay, no problem. We'll just refund you the money. That's not ideal. You want to search for an array of alternative solutions, right? I teach people critical thinking. James, we could do this, 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 we could do that. So come up with 5 different strategies, or 3 always. So you say, James, look, we can get you your 200 appointments. I think we just need to expand the timeline. And yes, there's a change in budget. So let me know how if that works. I do apologize that this is something that you were told should be delivered over 3 months. I just think it's going to be unrealistic. It's possible. Don't get me wrong, because everything's possible, but it's improbable. So Ali Abeid might say to me, Deepak, based upon the talent team that we have now, it's possible that we can get 100 leads a day by October. But I've done an assessment and it's improbable that that will happen. So Deepak, with your permission or just being honest, we need to expand the timeline. I now predict based upon where the team are at that we need to wait until February. An example, because one day I'm going to come calling and say to Ali, you're the leader, you're in charge. Where the fuck are my leads? But this is normal. This is what responsibility looks like, right? This is life. So that's what I would say to that you need to always come with practical alternative scenarios, brainstorm, and then present them to the client, but be prepared in our case to walk away.
Okay. But okay, I guess just in general that you say it's fine.
Yeah. Go obviously talk to Eon, talk to Saurabh, talk to Vishnu, and come back to me with what you think your pitch is going to be based upon what reasons. And oh yeah, the takeaways of today's meeting. I didn't even ask anyone. Fucking hell, sorry. Yeah. But yeah. Any follow-up questions to that, Temi?
No, I think that makes sense. I think maybe it would the question that could potentially come up is so why have I been told one thing after I've paid? And
Yeah,
I know that we can say that
so
yeah.
you say either look, I'm so sorry, there's a misunderstanding in XYZ, or you apologize and say, look, I'm sorry that was a mistake. I think where it comes from is that Vishnu did make the assumption that we should be able to do that level of sense. Technically, we can deliver it. We can deliver that, but what you're really paying for, James, is an outcome, right? You want 200 appointments. Experience has taught me that we need to expand the timeline because that's a lot of emails to send in a very short frame of time. So I just am unsure that we can deliver that because we can send 100,000 emails in one day. It just won't work. Our experience has told us that spam, 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 no result. So just say technically we can deliver, and it is possible to do that, but I just think it's really improbable. So if he says we can do this work for him, but the way that we're going to do it, I'm 90%, 98% sure it won't work. So that's why I want there to be a readjustment. So that's how you'd say it. Saying, look, Vishnu, I'm here to just paint, I think, more potentially to a degree realistic. I know where Vishnu's coming from, and we have delivered in those instances, but it's been 1 in 10 cases, and then we changed the way that we structured it. So some version of that. Yeah, go ahead, Temi.
Then does it not make it seem like we're a bit not organized if
Of
the
course.
salesperson is yeah.
I mean, but there's no way of getting around it because we're changing what we've said.
Yeah.
Someone has to be a fool guy because he's like, I paid for 100,000 emails to be sent in 3 months. Now you're saying to me that you need 7 months and you want me to pay another $10,000. Someone fucked up. Of course. Of course. It is what it is. But when you take ownership of it, people tend to respect it. If you just say, look, yeah, I am sorry, this happened. There's been a misunderstanding. These are the options. Let me know. Cool. All right. Amazing. Great. So let's just do the takeaways for those that are still here. Let's go round one by one, and then we can wrap. So let's start with Sakshi, and then Elveen, and then Priyanka, and then Reem, and then Ali, and then Temi, and then Ali Abaid. So Sakshi, over to you.
So I personally feel that the
I
am I
can hear you
audible?
now. I can hear you now. I can hear you now. Sorry.
So I feel that there's a lot that happened today, but to sum it up in a short thing, I'd say
Your
we
audio,
really have to work.
your audio drops sometimes. So
Oh, okay.
it's
Actually it's raining outside, so it's the network issue. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Go
I'll
ahead.
fix it up for the next time.
No, I can hear you now. Go ahead. You were going to say, yeah.
Okay. So I need to definitely work upon communication, after all the discussion that happened in here, and giving not only a one-way answer, but complete detailed answer, like, you gave examples of covering every single point and maybe, the follow-up as well. And practice, I feel, I was a bit shy earlier, but since yesterday you pulled me up, I've become a bit more confident. So yeah, maybe practice every day and try and speak up, even if it doesn't make a lot of sense, but yeah, just be out there.
Well, the change you've made in the last 2 days is already impressing me because now I know who you are and you're being humble and saying, I'm going to work on it. And I reward people that make effort because I think then with enough effort, the result will come. So great. Thank you, Sakshi. Let's get to LV.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Priyanka.
Yes, whatever I learned today that yesterday also I got the kit onboarding kit. So there is also one series of communication given by you. So I was just going through it today morning. So it was so luck means good that I will
You've
improve
got
my
ironically
communication more, and
you've got Priyanka, you've got network issues as
like
well. I'm missing a lot
I
of what you're
am means
saying.
like short
Can't hear me,
means
can you?
I used to give one of my one of the most bad qualities that
Priyanka, leave me a voice note afterwards and we can go through it then because okay, I think yeah, I'm sorry. I'm missing 70% of what you're saying because the internet comes in and out. You've already improved your mic. well done, because I asked you to improve it and you have. Great. Next step, improve your internet. Third step, send me a voice note with your takeaways, okay? Just WhatsApp me, okay? Cool, amazing, great. Thank you, Priyanka. Let's go to Reem, are you there? Ali, Yassine, let's go to you anyway, dude.
Yeah, so for me, honestly, I think there were different versions of things that we had. So let's suppose we had the trainings, small talks, and so on and so forth. And my main takeaway for today would be that I have lot to learn, and I have to have lots of sources to learn from. That's why I asked when you said that, hey, you can go and ask Ali Bed what's going on. And I don't have exposure to that. As you said, my reservoir is small, and I need to basically expand that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be cracking on his head 24/7. He needs to be prepared.
Amazing. No, great. I agree. Thank you for that, Ali, and I appreciate that. Let's go to Ali Abaid. Are you there, dude? Yeah, you are.
Yeah. So my biggest takeaway for today's meeting is that I have to get 100 leads per day.
It's
which I
not
have been, yeah,
realization.
that's
Yeah.
that's the thing which I have been listening all along through the meeting. And the other thing is that for the team, we have to sometime manage them with different scenarios that sometimes have you have to be hardened, or sometimes you have to be live with your attitude.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. In the end, your goal or role at the company is to figure out how to get this team to generate 100 leads a day. That's what I brought you here for. That's why you're leading. And that is what it is. That's what this is what leadership in your own life looks like. And then, yeah, as you said, with the team, having the ability to be both is just useful, because some people need more motivation. Sometimes people need to be shouted at. Sometimes people need both at different times. And it's not easy, as we know, because sometimes we think, oh, I've told them, why isn't it working? And it's always better to think, I need to change the way I teach, instead of thinking, oh, I need to change a person. Because then you can improve everyone by improving your level of communication and training, and in the end, again, it's that whole communication thing. In the end, all leaders need to teach at some level to demonstrate. So, everyone, thank you. I appreciate you. Go ahead, Ali. You wanted to have Ali stay on, right?
Yeah, I think you need to.
Yeah, Ali and
me. Yeah, cool. All right, Priyanka, send me the voice note. Sakshi, thank you. Temi, thank you. It's been a long meeting. Go and do what you need to do, and I'll catch you back on WhatsApp. All right. See you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
All right.